Mother has her eyes set on a down-and-out scholar and insists on marrying him. She spares no expense, even cooking for him and throwing money around. Zhao Lang doesn't want my money. We are truly in love. What can I do? Of course, I'm going to the Drunken Spring House to redeem a courtesan. Mother. A Yao isn't after my money. We are truly in love. 1. Since father passed away, it's the first time mother has looked so happy. She even put on a pink dress that she usually complained was too delicate. Xiao, your Uncle Zhao is really special, you'll definitely like him when you meet. Mother is both excited and nervous, almost eager to run out to welcome him. I sip my tea calmly, smiling to myself. 2 months ago, mother met this down-and-out scholar, somehow, and insisted it was true love and she wanted to marry him. A person so weak and unable to take care of himself, and now she's not only cooking for him but also wants to do laundry for his mother and various relatives. I let her give the clothes to the servants, but mother firmly stated, servants are servants, they cannot represent my feelings for Zhao Lang. To love someone is to dedicate yourself fully. I replied, so what has that Zhao Lang given you? Mother blushed, he complimented me, saying my laundry smells particularly nice. That's not all. Since meeting the scholar, mother often sighs in my ear. You, as a young lady, shouldn't be exposing yourself to the world and doing business. You should marry early and support your husband and educate your children. After I marry Zhao Lang, I'll leave the business to him, and I'll find you a nurse to teach you the rules first. 3 years ago, when father passed away, I single-handedly supported the family and managed the business, preserving the Liu family's vast wealth. To think that mother would willingly serve someone like that and say such things shows this scholar has some ability. Zhao Yuanqing is more handsome than I imagined. Wearing a blue long robe that gives off a scholarly vibe. This must be Xiar? Your mother often says you're capable, seeing you today, your appearance is quite impressive. I feel ashamed to say, I've never been married nor raised a daughter, so I don't know what young ladies like. The Golden Jade shop in the East City is quite famous, and I made this hairpin there, Xiar, please see if you like it. I smiled without speaking, taking the wooden box from his hand, which contained the most ordinary pearl hairpin. Its quality is clearly the worst, and its size doesn't even match the earrings of my maid. Although Zhao Yuanqing is poor, mother must have spent at least 100 taels on him, how could he not afford a decent hairpin for me? Before I could feel wronged, mother took it upon herself to feel wronged for Zhao Yuanqing first. You should save that money for buying books, why waste it? Xiao has a Duan inkstone, I'll bring it for you later. A Duan inkstone alone could buy out his entire Zhao family. And Zhao Yuanqing accepted it without hesitation, smiling widely, indicating that he often took things from my mother. Very good, I smiled and invited him to sit down. Imitating my mother's shyness, I said, Mother, actually, I've also found my ideal partner, and I thought we could all meet today. Zhao Yuanqing immediately became interested. May I ask, which young master has caught Xiao's eye? I pursed my lips and smiled. It's not some young master, it's a courtesan I redeemed from the Drunken Spring House a few days ago. 2. Before I could continue, Mother and Zhao Yuanqing both changed their expressions. Mother, feeling bashful, said, Xiao, marriage is not a joke, how can you choose someone like that? Zhao Yuanqing immediately took on an elder's tone, no, we will not agree to this marriage. I looked at Mother with determined eyes. Mother, even though a Yao is from the Drunken Spring House, he performs for a living and does not sell his body. He has always kept himself pure. A Yao is really wonderful, you will definitely like him once you meet. After saying this, before Mother could react, I had the maid invite Song Yao out. In contrast to Zhao Yuanqing's intentionally shabby attire, Song Yao appeared in luxurious brocade clothing, his features bright as stars. I've met Mrs. Liu. Mother was dumbfounded, pointing at him, Xiao, this clothing, this jade crown. I replied, naturally, it was a gift I gave to a Yao. Mother, after meeting a Yao, I finally understood your feelings. It turns out when you like someone, you want to spend money on them. Song Yao's clothing was made from the rare Liuguang brocade, which is produced in limited quantities each year, and the jade crown could buy 3 Zhao families. Mother could easily give Zhao Yuanqing rare ancient books, so why can't I spend a little money on my beloved? Mother came back to her senses, trembling with anger. Lu Xia Xia. Can't you see he's only after your money? I walked over to Song Yao. Mother, a Yao isn't after my money, his ancestors were officials, what good things hasn't he seen? If it weren't for the misfortunes that led him to become a servant, he wouldn't even look at me, a mere merchant's daughter. Mother was so angry she couldn't speak. Zhao Yuanqing supported her, his expression equally grim. Xiao, don't anger your mother further. What if his ancestors were officials? Young Master Song has never even met them. Besides, right now. Song Yao's eyes suddenly lit up. I have met Mr. Zhao. I saw him in my ancestors' dreams. Now even Zhao Yuanqing was trembling with anger. Song Yao acted as if he didn't notice. It's a coincidence, my ancestors were also scholars, later becoming prime ministers, enjoying great glory. Unfortunately, the political world is treacherous, alas. By the way, I heard Xiao say Mr. Zhao has passed the scholar examination, why not continue to rise? With Mr. Zhao's age, it really shouldn't only be at the scholar level. Seeing Zhao Yuanqing's face change, I quickly covered Song Yao's mouth. Isn't it because Uncle Zhao doesn't want to move up? Oh no, I accidentally let slip my thoughts. I quickly put on a smile. I heard there's an old gentleman in Jianzhou City who's particularly skilled. Several who studied under him have reached the palace examination. Uncle Zhao, how about I help you enroll? The tuition can be covered by the Lu family as an apology. Jianzhou City's Qinglu Academy had recently become famous. The old gentleman was a former top scholar who had retired from office, and families wanting their children to pursue a career in government were sending them there. But not just anyone could enroll, they needed good aptitude and a willingness to work hard. I don't know if Zhao Yuanqing can endure hardship, but he is already 36 this year, while that old gentleman is only 35. So Zhao Yuanqing got angry, pushed Mother away, and stood up to take his leave, muttering some sarcastic, flowery words, probably cursing me for lacking manners. Mother called after Zhao Lang and chased him out, while I curled my lip and invited Song Yao to eat. The chef we dug out from Bai Xian Lu has excellent skills. Song Yao sat down and served me a bowl of soup first. Miss, aren't you going to chase after him? My gaze fell on his long fingers. Want to bet? He'll definitely come back tomorrow. 3. The Lu family is considered one of the wealthy families in Qingzhou City. After father passed away, many relatives focused on me and mother, wanting to divide the family wealth, but I fought them off. How could those bloodsuckers, who clung to father all day, say they had no contributions or sufferings? Besides, with so much money, wouldn't it be nice to keep it for ourselves? Unfortunately, the heavens don't always grant wishes, and after 3 years of mourning, Mother fell in love with a down-and-out scholar. In that life, I didn't like Zhao Yuanqing either, but Mother seemed bewitched, refusing to listen to anything. I genuinely hoped for Mother's happiness and, in the end, couldn't resist agreeing. Who knew the scholar was actually after the Lu family's vast fortune? He said he wanted to marry, but in reality, on the 3rd day after the wedding, Zhao Yuanqing returned to the Lu residence with Mother. He enjoyed everything the Lu family had to offer, yet still wanted more, drugging Mother while scheming to set me and his lustful cousin Feng Qi up to be caught in bed together. Initially, I didn't know what Feng Qi was like, thinking he was also an innocent bystander, and was deceived by his cheerful and considerate facade, thus opening my heart to him. Until Mother's health deteriorated, and I was busy searching for a miracle doctor, Zhao Yuanqing and Feng Qi teamed up to transfer away most of the Lu family's assets. The money Mother and I spent on them turned into blades directed back at us. They bribed officials and replaced servants, and the Lu residence was on the verge of being renamed Zhao. After doing all this, the two gradually revealed their true natures, indulging in pleasure and even bringing courtesans back from the Drunken Spring House. Mother was so furious she coughed up blood. Zhao Yuanqing, I believed I treated you well. Why would you humiliate me like this? Zhao Yuanqing, pinching the courtesan's face, smiled sickeningly. Naturally, it's because Jin Yang's family wealth is truly tempting. Having read books, Zhao Yuanqing was much slicker than my merchant father, and only then did mother awaken to the truth. All those tender words were lies. Once the facade was ripped away, mother and I were confined in the residence, and familiar servants were driven away, replaced by new ones who only took orders from Zhao Yuanqing, merely keeping us alive. The only ones who genuinely helped us were the courtesans from the Drunken Spring House. It was said they were originally pure courtesans, but Zhao Yuanqing forcibly spent money to bring them back to the residence. Zhao Yuanqing's playboy ways left the courtesans often bruised and battered, yet they comforted me in return. "Miss, I'm fine. This is just some medicinal herbs, hurry and give them to madam." Relying on the courtesans, mother and I struggled to survive for 5 years. Then one day, the courtesan said he had bribed the maid and the guard at the back courtyard, telling us to escape while Zhao Yuanqing was away. I was grateful for his help but didn't dare trust him completely and asked why he was so devoted. The courtesan chuckled softly. "Miss, there are good people and bad people in this world. I just want to be a good person." I barely believed him, but until dawn, no maid came to take mother and me out. After that day, the courtesan never came back, and I assumed I had been toyed with. If it weren't for Zhao Yuanqing getting drunk and incoherently cursing, I might never have known he had actually tried. Unfortunately, the plan was exposed, and he sold the courtesan to the lowest brothel, where he probably met a tragic end. In the end, mother and I couldn't hold on any longer. On the day Zhao Yuanqing married, Feng Qi set us on fire. In the last life, Zhao Yuanqing schemed for the Lu family's assets for a long time. Compared to the future glory and wealth, how could a little grievance today matter? 4. Sure enough, early the next morning, Zhao Yuanqing brought me a set of jewel-encrusted masks, exceptionally splendid, clearly funded by my mother. He didn't mention the unpleasantness from yesterday. "Xiao, Jin Yang and I truly love each other. Now that we've met, let's have a chance to meet my family soon, and we can settle the marriage arrangements as soon as possible." "Sure." I nodded. Seeing my agreeable response, my mother was a bit excited. "Xiao, you really agree?" I smiled at them and stood up to greet Song Yao, who had just woken up. "It's perfect. I also want my mother to meet Yao's family. Let's do it together at Baixian Tower. Booking a private room should be enough." My mother was stunned. "He's a son of a trader. Where does he have family?" Song Yao spoke softly. "Yao indeed has no family. For more than a decade, he has supported himself with the people from the Drunken Spring House. We don't have parents, but we're each other's relatives." After saying this, he showed a bitter smile, which pained my heart. I wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes with a handkerchief. "Mother, Uncle Zhao, aren't you moved? My Yao has suffered so much to be by my side. Just so you know, no one is allowed to look down on Yao's family, otherwise, I won't eat this meal." Song Yao turned his face to hide his embarrassment and still confessed to me. "Xiao, I will treat you well for a lifetime." My mother and Zhao Yuanqing fell silent together. Especially Zhao Yuanqing, who took pride in being a scholar. It was fine to seek pleasure, but sharing a meal in a serious matter with the people from the Drunken Spring House was akin to being humiliated in front of him. But for the sake of the meeting in the future, he endured it. I threw the jewel-encrusted masks back into the storeroom. Remembering Song Yao, with his red eyes saying he had no family, and recalling his tragic fate in the last life, I felt somewhat uncomfortable. I called for him, but gazing into those clean and clear eyes, I didn't know what to say. Song Yao thought I was still troubled by my mother's romantic feelings, and gently comforted me. "Madam will understand your kind intentions one day." I smiled. "I hope so." Next, we fell into a moment of silence. It was somewhat unreasonable for me to have called him over and then sent him back. So I stood up. "Shall we go out for a walk?" Song Yao asked. "Where to?" Though I said we'd go out, I led Song Yao around the Lu residence, finally reaching the pear tree in the back mountain, where there were several jars of wine I had brewed with my father when I was young. After pouring a bowl and drinking it in one go, I sighed. Father said he would dig this out when I got married, and we wouldn't leave until I was drunk with my husband. He said after raising a daughter for so many years, how could he let others benefit from it for free? Father truly spoiled me and my mother. There was so much reluctance and pride in his eyes when he said this. Song Yao paused while pouring the wine. Miss, is it really appropriate for us to open this jar of wine? I snatched the jar and filled his bowl. What's inappropriate? This miss is not planning to get married. So, we sat under the pear tree, drinking bowl after bowl until we couldn't dig out any more wine. There's still not enough. I hugged the wine jar in a daze, and when looking at him, the world spun around me. Song Yao suddenly turned into two, then became someone with a bruised face. I lunged forward to cup his face, feeling especially angry. Zhao Yuanqing, that bastard. How dare he hit you? Song Yao, don't worry about me, just escape. The flesh on Song Yao's face was squeezed together by my grip, but he still looked handsome. He grabbed my hand and lifted me effortlessly, saying, Miss, I won't leave you and run away by myself. 5. Song Yao is truly a good person, gentle enough to make my heart ache in both this life and the last. Although I forgot most of what happened after waking up from the drunken haze, just seeing Song Yao made me want to treat him even better. Should I send him a house once everything is settled? Plus, 100 taels of gold? Before I could figure it out, the day arrived for me to meet with Zhao Yuanqing and his family. Song Yao and I arrived early at Baixian Tower. But until the appointed time passed, Zhao Yuanqing and his family had yet to show up. It was the same in the last life. The Zhao family put on airs, wanting to intimidate my mother and me. Though they were far inferior to the Lu family in terms of status, the Zhao family felt that Zhao Yuanqing, as a scholar, was at a disadvantage for marrying a second marriage woman. Zhao Yuanqing's mother even claimed that she felt unwell before leaving and took a little rest. No one could fault this excuse. To ensure my mother could get along well with her in-laws in the future, I tolerated it and even prepared several generous gifts to present in person. In this life, who would spoil his bad habits? I immediately had the waiter serve the dishes. No need to wait, everyone, eat and drink well. Thank you all for taking care of Song Yao. If there are any difficulties in the future, feel free to seek me out. Song Yao's friends expressed their gratitude, but since they relied on beauty for their livelihoods, they couldn't help but lean closer to me after sitting for a while. After being glared at by Song Yao a few times, they quickly apologized, which was quite amusing. We laughed and chatted, and halfway through the meal, my mother and Zhao Yuanqing finally arrived late. Seeing that we had already started eating, Zhao Yuanqing's mother couldn't hide her displeasure. Is this how the Lu family treats guests? My mother trembled and was about to explain when I smiled and embraced her. Mother-in-law, please forgive us. Did we not agree to meet at the hour of the snake? Now it's already noon. I thought you weren't coming. If I had known you had eaten beforehand, we should have arranged to meet at the tea house. After speaking, I pulled my mother to sit down. Mother, these are Ayao's friends. They are all good people who waited with me for so long without a complaint. I deliberately ignored the Zhao family, but unexpectedly, the old lady acted superior again. The Lu family truly cannot stand on their own. The servants are uncouth and rude, associating with such lowly people. The elders do not keep their chastity, seducing my son. I dare not speak of chastity. Even after losing my husband for more than 10 years, I have always kept my duty, not tarnishing the Zhao family's reputation by a single bit. Moreover, my son has read the classics. Now he wishes to marry a woman like you, who does not know gratitude, yet still speaks sarcastically. My mother anxiously tried to explain. Zhao Lang, old lady, it's not. I slammed my chopsticks down. Old lady, you're mistaken. The world is already harsh on women. If you wish to live as a widow, don't drag down all the women in the world. If the Zhao family feels so aggrieved, then we shouldn't join families. Zhao Yuanqing thought that by controlling my mother, he had me in his grasp, not realizing that all matters large and small in the Lu family were decided by me. Without my approval, my mother could marry, but he Zhao Yuanqing should forever stay out of the Lu family's doors. 6. Seeing my expression turn unfriendly, the distant relatives began to whisper. What does our family have to compare with? The Liu family's conditions are already lacking. Do they think they're marrying a princess? Exactly, I'm about to starve to death. Now the young lady is angry, who knows what the old lady is playing at? They were all people who sought profit, and upon seeing me adorned with gold and silver, they immediately began to complain about the old lady. Song Yao leaned in and whispered to me, I didn't expect there were reasonable people in the Zhao family. I shook my head, don't be fooled by appearances. The Zhao family has no good people. Zhao Yuanqing and the old lady wore dark expressions and couldn't reprimand people in front of me. My mother tried to speak but was glared at by me. The situation became tense. It was Song Yao who spoke to ease the atmosphere. They say it's better to tear down a temple than to destroy a marriage. It's a good thing for Madame and Mr. Zhao to have feelings for each other. I understand that both Xiao'er and the old lady are doing this for the good of their families, but we will all be one family in the future, so let's communicate nicely. Right, right. My mother looked at me with red eyes, feeling wronged. I sighed but didn't move until Zhao Yuanqing and the old lady softened their attitudes before beckoning the waiter to bring the dishes again. I could have dragged my mother away in a huff, but she was too deeply involved. She could turn around and be appeased by Zhao Yuanqing. My mother wanted to sit next to Zhao Yuanqing, but I pulled her back, let's eat properly. I picked up some shrimp meat for her with my chopsticks and turned to find that Song Yao had already piled a small mountain of food in my bowl. Don't you love this milk sauce fish fillet? And this stir-fried pearl chicken is fresh and tender. The dishes at Baixian Tower were top-notch in Qingzhou City. The Zhao family usually couldn't afford them, and now they couldn't help but start eating. I didn't know what Zhao Yuanqing and the old lady said, but she angrily swallowed her frustration and elbowed a certain aunt who was eating too. That aunt almost choked and, after receiving the signal, opened up with a smile. Yuanqing is our family's most promising child, proficient in poetry, song, and verse. Oh. I replied blandly, tasting the soup that Song Yao brought to my mouth. Then when will he take the top scholar exam? The aunt was immediately choked up, unable to say anything. The servant beside her quickly took over the conversation. Yuanqing is the best at taking care of others. He will never let Jin Yang suffer any hardship. Oh. I nodded, taking a bite of the shrimp that Song Yao peeled for me, but my Liu family is wealthy. What hardship could my mother suffer? The only hardship she has ever suffered is the pain of love. 7. Next, while the Zhao family was praising people, I was tearing them down. By the end, the quiet friends from Zuichuan building finally spoke up. Miss Ya, our Yao is also very good. He can play the piano and sing, and he gives massages. He will also serve you at meals. Look how beautifully this shrimp is peeled. Yeah, the only thing our Zuichuan building is average at is serving people. I believe a Yao can take good care of Miss Ya. When it comes to flattery, the folks from Zuichuan building were indeed better at reading people's moods and cheering them up than Zhao Yuanqing. Especially since Zhao Yuanqing hadn't even poured a cup of tea for my mother since he sat down, yet he had the face to boast about himself. In contrast, Song Yao was embarrassed and told them to stop, while he was still busy wrapping the Sanxi rolls. I patted Song Yao's hand with a look of satisfaction. I know. It's precisely because a Yao is so good that I'm willing to spend 1,000 taels to redeem him. What did you say? The old lady across the table dropped her porcelain spoon in shock. Song Yao said shyly, still, it's Xiao'er who treats me better, redeeming me and preparing a house, and even giving me several shops. This time, my mother felt uncomfortable. Xiao'er, are you crazy? Spending so much money on an outsider. I looked at my mother disapprovingly. A Yao is not an outsider. Mom, a Yao and I are true love. Mother replied, but what can he do? How will you two make a living in the future? You can't just let him go out. I said, naturally, I will support him. Whatever a Yao wants, I will buy it for him. Mom, aren't you doing the same for Uncle Zhao? Then how can it be one? My mother paused. If it's true love, there shouldn't be any talk of status or wealth. My mother turned red in the face from holding it in. By the end of the meal, only Song Yao and I were happily enjoying ourselves. Before we left, I nodded in agreement to my mother's and Zhao Yuanqing's marriage. Mom, I just hope you are happy. Let's find a master to match our birth dates and set a date later. Having achieved my ultimate goal, the Zhao family's gloom immediately lifted, and they smiled, praising me for being sensible and my mother for her wisdom and grace. Sometimes people are really strange. In my past life, even when I smiled and welcomed them, I got barely a good word, yet now when I threw a tantrum, they seemed friendlier. Even my late father, who had passed away 3 years ago, was dragged out and praised. Back at the Lu residence, my mother led Zhao Yuanqing back to her courtyard, but I stopped her. She looked at Song Yao, frowning. Why can he go in, but Zhao Lang can't? I linked arms with Song Yao, naturally, because a Yao wants to be a son-in-law. Isn't it only right for him to return to the Lu family? But Mom, if you marry Uncle Zhao, he will be an outsider. Even if you visit your family later, you'll still be returning to your maternal grandparents in Juzhou. Before my mother could respond, Zhao Yuanqing's face twisted slightly, unable to maintain his smile. Xiao, your maternal grandparents are really far away. Moreover, Jin Yang will definitely miss you. How could she not let you return home? Zhao Yuanqing's aim was to enter the Lu residence, and hearing me say this, he was about to die of anxiety. I looked at him in confusion. When did I ever say I wouldn't let Mom return home? Forget about that. When will Uncle Zhao send the bridal gift list? I also need to prepare dowries for Mom. In my previous life, Zhao Yuanqing didn't prepare any bridal gifts. The box paraded through the streets was filled with stones, while the items presented were compensated with my mother's private funds. The trick was to say 3 things and make a woman spend 3,000 taels, preferably in gold. Zhao Yuanqing originally thought he could control my mother and thus control the Lu family's wealth. Now that I was generously spending money on Song Yao, he was already anxious. Now there were no bridal gifts, and he couldn't return to the Lu residence, so he immediately bowed and took his leave. I'll go home to discuss it right away. He probably went back to discuss how to handle me with his conspirators. 8. Once Zhao Yuanqing left, I strolled back to the courtyard with Song Yao, and my mother finally regained her senses. In the past, I would always rush to serve food and soup at mealtimes, but today I didn't put anything in her bowl, not even a single leaf of vegetables. In the past, she was busy dating Zhao Yuanqing, and I would always act spoiled to get her to accompany me, but now my thoughts were completely focused on Song Yao. My mother caught up with me. Xiao, let me sleep with you tonight. We haven't had a heart-to-heart talk in a long time. I shook my head. That's not possible, Mom. I want to have a baby with a Yao soon, otherwise, who will inherit the Lu family? My mother blurted out, of course it will be me and Zhao Lang. But your child won't have the Lu surname. My mother was somewhat frustrated now. This won't do, and that won't do. What do you suggest? I leaned my head on Song Yao, smiling sweetly, then let Uncle Zhao come as a son-in-law. We'll all be complete as a family, right? My mother's eyes lit up, murmuring, yes, since we're in true love, who marries whom doesn't really matter. My mother was an action-oriented person. She immediately had a servant call Zhao Yuanqing back and explained the situation, her face full of expectation. Zhao Lang, we won't need a bridal gift after all. Zhao Yuanqing's smile instantly fell. He thought I had a change of heart. But it turned out to be a heavy blow. But Jin Yang, I'm still a man, how can I? Song Yao is also a man. Didn't you say you truly love me? Why don't you want to? My mother had a look of disbelief, and her eyes were red with sadness. I poured oil on the flames, so it turns out everything Uncle Zhao said about treating my mother well was a lie. Song Yao chimed in, I treat Xiao well sincerely, I'm willing to be a servant or a slave. My mother's hands trembled with sadness. She wanted to hit Zhao Yuanqing but couldn't bring herself to do it. I was so busy with the wedding that I almost lost my daughter. I let you enter the Lu residence, but you don't want to. Zhao Yuanqing's face was awkward. Jin Yang, don't be agitated, this is not the same thing. I am the only heir of the Zhao family. I'm still the only heir of the Li family. Zhao Yuanqing, just say whether you agree or not. He dared not agree, and Zhao Yuanqing forced a smile. Jin Yang, I truly didn't deceive you. We agreed to watch the stars and the moon together until we grow old. Have you forgotten? My mother said, then you can enter the Lu residence. Where wouldn't that be the same? Zhao Yuanqing. Zhao Yuanqing was utterly shocked. He had only seen my mother as gentle as water. How could he know that once she was determined about something, she could be quite stubborn? Song Yao mocked. It seems that Mr. Zhao's feelings for his wife are not that strong. Could it be that the Lu family's moon is not as bright as the Zhao family's? My mother was reluctant to hit Zhao Yuanqing, but I was not. I immediately gave him 2 slaps out of anger. What's the use of saying nice things? I see you're the one who wants to cheat my mother out of money. With the 3 of us surrounding him, Zhao Yuanqing couldn't argue or fight back, and he simply ran away. My mother covered her heart and cried all afternoon. And I comforted her the entire time until the custom-made outfits finally arrived and managed to calm her down. I said, Mom, you're so beautiful, what man can't you find? I'll arrange a few talented young men for you right away. My mother cried so hard that she felt dizzy and dazedly agreed. Here's a precise translation of the text into English. 9. The next morning, my mother went out for a matchmaking meeting with a wealthy merchant. I also had some free time, so I went out with Song Yao to stroll around. I asked him where he wanted to go for fun. Song Yao shook his head. Miss, it's up to you to decide. It suddenly occurred to me that he had grown up in the Drunken Spring Pavilion and probably didn't know where was fun at all. So, I took him horseback riding, went fishing, and indulged in the food street from one end to the other. It was clearly a delightful day, but just before we returned home, we encountered 2 idiots. They should have been regulars at the Drunken Spring Pavilion, and they drunkenly blocked our way. Hey, isn't this that singing boy Yao? Why are you entertaining outsiders today? Come on, since we've met, it's fate. Sing a song for me, and if I'm pleased, I'll reward you handsomely. Song Yao's face turned pale. He pulled me to leave, but those 2 were as wide as walls and quickly surrounded us. The smell of alcohol hit me. One man burped, making me feel nauseous. Hey! How come there's a little lady too? Is she the new girl from the Drunken Immortal Pavilion? As they spoke, they even tried to touch me. Song Yao stood in front of me and kicked one of them hard. Then, taking advantage of the chaos, he pushed me away. Miss, run. The man cried out in pain and grabbed Song Yao's wrist, slapping him hard. They didn't care about me anymore and kept pressing down on Song Yao. What kind of nonsense is this, selling skills but not bodies? I say, just looking at you is enough to spoil my appetite. Someone like you shouldn't act tough in front of me. Song Yao couldn't withstand the 2 of them and was soon subdued. I turned and dashed out of the alley, tossing a few pieces of silver to the old man selling tofu pudding. I'll buy this pole. The 2 men laughed and cursed, looking exactly like Zhao Yuanqing from my previous life. All I could think of was Zhao Yuanqing pinching Song Yao's face and saying, naturally, this family business of Jin Yang's is truly tempting. I was so angry that my hands and feet trembled. I'll make you feel tempted. I'll make you feel tempted. The man fell down in response, and Song Yao gasped as he looked at me. Didn't I tell you to leave first? I tossed the pole away and looked at him seriously. You are my Lu Xiangxia's person. I will never leave you to escape on your own. The man was merely dazed and still had breath left. I hired 2 beggars to pretend to be servants from the Drunken Spring Pavilion, beating drums and gongs to escort the men home. They probably wouldn't dare to show their faces again soon. When we returned to the Lu residence, my mother had also come back. In the morning, she wore a silver-embroidered dress to meet the wealthy merchant from the capital. But by evening, she was still in that same dress, and the person she brought back was Zhao Yuanqing. She knew she was in the wrong. Zhao Lang has agreed to marry into our family. I know it's wrong for me to go back on my word, but I really like Zhao Lang. Zhao Yuanqing kept lowering his head to apologize, and he brought gifts, including one for Song Yao. In the past, it was my uncle who was narrow-minded. From now on, let's live well together. I have to say, Zhao Yuanqing had some skill. My mother was so smitten that she wouldn't let anyone else take her fancy. Song Yao didn't say anything but worriedly asked, "Did Madam go to see Master Fu today?" My mother's gaze flickered. "No. I didn't have time. I ran into Zhao Lang as soon as I went out." I exclaimed, "Didn't you send someone to notify him?" "Mother. We stood up Master Fu, several business deals are going to fall through." My mother panicked. "What should we do? Should I go now?" I sighed, "It's already dark, he must have returned home long ago." My mother wanted to say something else, but I waved my hand and sadly turned back to the courtyard. Song Yao chased after me, still shouting, "Mr. Zhao definitely didn't mean to ruin the business. Xiao, please take care of your health, if you worry too much and fall ill, it won't be good." 10. My mother was deeply regretting her actions and began to complain about Zhao Yuanqing for the first time, saying they didn't even eat together at dinner. She knew how difficult it had been for me to step into the limelight and run a business over the years. Being looked down upon and ridiculed was a common occurrence. They looked down on women. What's worse, some spoke lightly and even tried to touch me, forcing me to bring bodyguards whenever I went out. So, making a deal wasn't easy. The wealthy merchant was from the capital, and I had even said in the morning that if we couldn't become husband and wife, we could still be friends. He had enough tea and cotton goods in his hands to keep us well fed for a long time. But I also knew that my mother would eventually make up with Zhao Yuanqing. The infatuation of love was indeed difficult to cure. After resolving this matter, I finally felt sore all over when I returned to the courtyard. Song Yao brought some oil to massage me, then suddenly remembered that men and women shouldn't have too much physical contact and hurriedly put it down. "Miss, in the future, when you encounter dangerous situations, don't act impulsively. Like today, you could have called for help." I leaned back on the couch, rubbing my sore wrist. "By the time I go out to call for help, you'd be left with just a skeleton. In urgent situations, who has time to think?" Song Yao sighed, resembling a mother more than my own mother, lecturing me endlessly, "I just don't want you to get hurt." He was only wearing a thin shirt, revealing his slender neck, his gaze lowered, casting a shadow with his eyelashes. My heart trembled slightly, and I whispered, "Okay, I understand." A few days later, my mother reconciled with Zhao Yuanqing after feeling unwell. All day long, she either composed poetry in the residence or went out to row on the lake. One day, she returned with a pile of items, and I noticed they were all for men and older women. My mother was still beaming. "What's this? Once we get married, I want to buy even more for Zhao Lang." She kept chattering about what else she wanted to get, and I came in with Song Yao, both of us looking gloomy. "Mother, I'm unfilial, these things probably have to be returned." "Why?" She quickly thought of the wealthy merchant. "Just a few deals fell through. It's not like we can't afford this little bit of things, right?" I couldn't lift my head in shame, my voice choking slightly. "With those deals, it would indeed be a nice addition. But he's angry that mother played with people. No matter how I apologize, it's useless." In a fit of anger, he teamed up with other merchants to pressure and exclude us. They'd rather not make money than let us live. Our shop hasn't had a penny come in these past few days. The money in the bank won't be accessible for 3 years. If this continues, we won't even be able to pay the servants' monthly salaries. My mother's face turned pale instantly. How could this happen? At that moment, Song Yao took off the jade crown from his head and stuffed it into my arms. "Without Xiao, there's no me. Everything comes from Xiao, and now that the Lu family is in trouble, I can't sit by and do nothing." Song Yao's eyes were filled with concern. I couldn't help but hug him and cry, "No. How could I bear to see you suffer? Your first half of life has been hard enough." Song Yao also hugged me and cried. After we finished crying, he gently pushed me away and began to take off his clothes. "These can be sold for a good amount of silver." I was deeply moved, then turned to look at my mother, who couldn't stand my gaze and turned to stare at Zhao Yuanqing. In our few meetings, Zhao Yuanqing had always worn a light blue shirt that had been washed until it was nearly white, afraid that I would accuse him of being after money. But Song Yao wore luxurious clothing every day, which made him look like a country bumpkin every time we met. Who would have thought that the first time he wore the fine clothes my mother gave him, he would encounter such a situation? 11. Zhao Yuanqing. He forced a smile, took off the jade crown on his head, and handed it to my mother. Xiao'er is still an unmarried girl. It's inappropriate to undress in front of her. Please take this, Jin Yang. My mother immediately became emotional, tears welling in her eyes. Zhao Lang. Song Yao blushed and quietly admitted that he hadn't thought things through, apologizing to my mother after putting on his clothes. Then, he affectionately took my hand and began to compare. And there's the stuff Xiao'er bought for me before, gold, silver, jade, stationery, everything. I'll return it all to Xiao'er. I sniffled, saying, no, really, you don't have to. Just having your concern makes me very happy. Song Yao insisted, no. I love Xiao'er, so I must contribute. If someone is still hiding things at this time, they don't love. My mother, who had always been critical of Song Yao, finally agreed with him this time. That's right. True love is invincible. The two of them seemed to be in a cult, growing more and more excited as they spoke. But on my side, it was Song Yao willingly giving, while on my mother's side, Zhao Yuanqing, who was about to leave, looked like his ancestral tomb was on fire. In the end, both Song Yao and Zhao Yuanqing returned everything they had sent out. To prove his true love, Song Yao insisted on counting the items in front of everyone. Not only this, but I also saved some money at Zui Chunlu in earlier years, and it's all for Xiao'er. My mother was once again moved by him and wanted to do the same, which made Zhao Yuanqing dare not hide anything. However, asking him to take out more from the Zhao family was truly too difficult. But my mother was already excited. Do you not love me? Song Yao even donated his underwear. Why can't you? Song Yao chimed in cheerfully from the side, Mr. Zhao, a man shouldn't say no. I believe you can do it. Eventually, Zhao Yuanqing reluctantly took 10 taels of silver from the Zhao family, his face turning pale from the pain. My mother was very satisfied. I knew Zhao Lang loved me. I heard that because of this 10 taels, the Zhao family had a fierce argument, with several aunts even smashing dishes. If it weren't for the old lady stopping them, Zhao Yuanqing would have probably had some hair pulled out. The Liu family's business was substantial, but they couldn't eat it right now. Their outlook wasn't as long-term as Zhao Yuanqing's. Zhao Yuanqing was completely committed, but under Song Yao's comparison, my mother started to develop in strange directions. She no longer spent her time cooking for her beloved Zhao Lang, but demanded he measure up to Song Yao. You must love me more. What Song Yao can do, you can too. It's just a feast, it's nothing difficult, Zhao Lang. Although my mother no longer foolishly cared for Zhao Yuanqing by spending money on him, keeping a white-eyed wolf close was still dangerous. Previously, when I spent money on Song Yao, my mother would only feel upset for a few days and wouldn't realize I was hinting at Zhao Yuanqing. Now she and Song Yao had become close friends, exchanging insights on true love every day. This road wouldn't be easy to walk. If I wanted her to truly awaken, I still had to expose Zhao Yuanqing's true nature. Thanks to Song Yao, who said before parting from his friends at Zui Chunlu, I feel like Mr. Zhao is not from Qingzhou City. His accent is light, but he really resembles a benefactor from Liangzhou City that I know. 12. Now, the people I sent to Liangzhou City have returned, and Zhao Yuanqing's actions have been revealed, so let's let him enjoy himself for a few more days. I used the excuse of the rich merchant's matter to hold back money, delaying the wedding date. Zhao Yuanqing, in a moment of anxiety, took the risk of advancing Fang Qi's plan prematurely. Though Song Yao lived in the Liu residence, he spent the night in another courtyard, believing that if Fang Qi could secure me first, the Liu family would be in his pocket. However, his methods were not as effective as in the past life. He directly let Fang Qi follow me, attempting to use a drug-soaked handkerchief to knock me out. In this new life, apart from thinking about how to save my mother from her love-struck brain, I also learned some martial arts from my master. So when the shadow behind me loomed over, I turned and kicked back. Such a skilled move. The recently wanted flower thief couldn't be you, could it? Just in time to send you to the government, and I can get 100 taels of silver. I unleashed a flurry of punches on Fang Qi, focusing on his weak points since women's strength can't compare to men's. Watch my cut off your lineage kick. Fang Qi held his lower body, crying out in pain, unable to argue. When the officials arrived, he lay on the ground, crying with eyes as big as walnuts. Zhao Yuanqing was still waiting in the residence for good news from his cousin, while I had already spread the word that Fang Qi was suspected to be a flower thief. An officer advised me not to rush. What if it was a misunderstanding? I replied. That's why it's a suspicion. Besides, who carries a drug-soaked handkerchief around? Officer, this is all merit. Under my explicit suggestion, Fang Qi was sentenced to castration and sent to the capital to become a palace slave. After the Fang family learned of this, they created a ruckus at the government office, but to no avail, and turned to the Lu family to find trouble with me. Claiming I had seduced Fang Qi, as if a woman making a name for herself was seduction. I calmly scanned the crowd. So, are you all blocking my Lu family's gate today to seduce my guards? But you ants are quite old, it might not be easy to seduce. The Fang family had no ground to stand on and couldn't argue with me, so they finally gave up and threw Zhao Yuanqing under the bus. You think you're so impressive? Your old, blind mother definitely didn't expect that it was Zhao Yuanqing who had drug you to do those things. You and your mother are such people, we don't even want you as a concubine. Zhao Yuanqing is just after the Lu family's business. This unexpected revelation caught my mother, who had just come out with Zhao Yuanqing, completely off guard. She widened her eyes and turned to look at Zhao Yuanqing. Is what they say true? Did you want to ruin Xiar's innocence? Everything you said about loving me was fake? Zhao Yuanqing had his thoughts about the Fang family, but right now, his priority was to placate my mother. Jin Yang, how can you listen to their nonsense? These days, I've washed your clothes, cooked for you, and embroidered pouches, all those things women do, I've done them for you. What do you mean by things women do? True love knows no gender. If you love me, you should do these things. Didn't I also embroider pouches for you? My mother was getting increasingly unreasonable, but without substantial evidence, the Fang family's words couldn't affect Zhao Yuanqing. Before coming out, it seemed she was teaching Zhao Yuanqing how to embroider a wedding gown, and she was inexplicably annoyed at being interrupted. Causing trouble will land you in jail. If you keep bothering me and Zhao Lang to cultivate our feelings, I'll report you. Song Yao had remained silent. I desperately blinked at him to act according to plan, but he directly punched the head of the Fang family. This punch is for your Fang family's attempt to reach for the lady. This punch is for your Fang family's shamelessness. This punch. Song Yao delivered several punches in a row, and the head of the Fang family had lost teeth but didn't stop. I was so frightened that I immediately shouted for the servants to pull the two apart. Song Yao, Song Yao. Enough. Get a hold of yourself. Song Yao, with bloodshot eyes, said, Didn't the lady promise me she wouldn't put herself in danger anymore? I scratched my head sheepishly, saying, but it's nothing, right? Song Yao, angry, ignored me, and the Fang family, scared from the beating, ran off in shame. However, they weren't heading back to the Fang family but rather towards the Zhao family. The Zhao family had some formidable matrons, and there were witnesses to the dog-eat-dog situation. My mother glanced at Song Yao. All right, you did well. I can trust you with Xiar. I stomped my foot in frustration. What on earth was happening? Before I could figure out how to appease Song Yao, a disheveled mother and daughter appeared outside the residence, staring longingly at Zhao Yuanqing. 13. The woman was filled with rage, her voice hoarse. Zhao Yuanqing, is that you?" The child, both happy and afraid, hid behind the woman and called out, "Daddy." "He's not your father." The woman cried out, kneeling right at the door, "Madam, Zhao Yuanqing is ungrateful and poisoned his master along with his wife and daughter. You must not be deceived by him. People do not turn bad all at once." At least Zhao Yuanqing was rotten to the core. The people sent to investigate in Liangzhou city returned, all gritting their teeth, "He's nothing but a beast." Zhao Yuanqing was originally named Zhao Er, meaning he was the second child in his family. The Zhao family was poor, and he should have spent his life facing the dirt, but he had a talent for studying. There was a teacher in their small county town who couldn't bear to let him fade away, waiving his tuition and often giving him financial support. Zhao Yuanqing was handsome and studied in the courtyard every day, and over time, he developed feelings for the teacher's only daughter. The old teacher naturally was happy to see his favored student marry his daughter. He didn't ask for riches, only that Zhao Yuanqing could advance and treat his daughter well in the future. Unfortunately, even the heartless villains in stories manage to take the top imperial examination and betray their trust only after finding a better path. Zhao Yuanqing was merely a scholar, and he looked down on his teacher's family. He secretly moved his family to Qingzhou City and poisoned his own teacher, using the excuse of seeking knowledge to abandon his wife and daughter. In his mind, a weak woman with a child wouldn't be able to survive on her own. Yet they managed to live on, persevering until the day justice was served. Zhao Yuanqing looked as if he had seen a ghost, suppressing his fear and angrily cursing, "I don't know you. Stop making random accusations. Jin Yang, I don't know them at all." Mother looked at the two of them suspiciously, neither believing nor disbelieving, and ordered a maid to bring a basin of water. Once the child had washed her face clean, her delicate features bore an 8-point resemblance to Zhao Yuanqing. Mother stared blankly at Zhao Yuanqing, "Then what about this child? How do you explain her?" Zhao Yuanqing was panting heavily, "There are many similar people in this world. How do I know if someone is deliberately framing me? You have a scar behind your ear." The woman spoke again, "That was from when you protected me as I fell from a tree. There's a burn scar on your right wrist from when you burned yourself at home as a child. Since there was no money for treatment, it was left untreated. Zhao Yuanqing, you can deny us, but heaven is watching. It was you who did this, you cannot escape." Zhao Yuanqing had never thought that his abandoned wife and daughter would show up one day. He was afraid Mother wouldn't believe him, and his panic momentarily overshadowed everything as he started to curse at them. Who says scholars can't curse? His choice of words was just as dirty as a rogue's. Mother stood there with her hands hanging, staring at the woman, not knowing what to think. I couldn't bear to see Mother in pain, so I hugged her. "Let's report this to the officials, Mother. The truth will be decided by them." But Mother buried her face in my neck. "No, Xiao'er, if we report this, Zhao Lang will die." Mother's voice was soft, but it made everyone present's hair stand on end. She believed the woman's words yet still chose to protect Zhao Yuanqing. Why? What made him worthy of such loyalty from Mother? Before I could get angry, Mother held my hand and patted it, then helped the mother and daughter up. "Those who do wrong must be punished. This is an unchanging principle. Zhao Lang will pay the price. Don't let hatred cloud your hearts. Take your money and live well." Perhaps Mother was too gentle, her determination too profound. The mother and daughter actually didn't insist on reporting to the officials. They merely said they would stay nearby, waiting for Zhao Yuanqing to be punished before leaving. I didn't know what Mother was planning, nor did Zhao Yuanqing. He nervously stayed by her side, trying to sweet-talk her. Song Yao was also worried. "Madam, if you truly love someone, you wouldn't deceive them." Mother smiled gently. "I know." 14. Mother took Zhao Yuanqing away, and I sighed deeply as I watched their backs. What more could I do? Kill him? Song Yao also wanted to leave. Watching that thin silhouette, I felt anxious and flustered, unable to articulate why. For the next few days, I didn't see Song Yao or Zhao Yuanqing. Mother was still as usual, chatting with me, going out shopping, and buying some cosmetics. She would occasionally ask when Song Yao and I would get married, saying it was not easy to be with the one you love for a lifetime. I asked her, then what about Zhao Yuanqing? Is someone as ungrateful as him really worthy of affection? Mother said, he's not worthy, but I did love him once. Xiao, don't worry, he can no longer do evil. I didn't understand Mother's meaning until she took me to a remote courtyard. In my previous life, Mother and I had lived here for 5 years, eventually perishing in a fire. And in this life, Zhao Yuanqing was chained up, struggling like a dog. Wretched man. Let me out. You poisonous woman. Mother stood at the door, her gaze gentle. Zhao Lang, I've come to understand. To love someone means being willing to be their dog, loyal and protective. Since you haven't learned that yet, let's let you go hungry for a couple more days. So, am I turning Mother's romantic notions into something twisted? Seeing Zhao Yuanqing's miserable state, I was certain he wouldn't be able to stir up any more trouble, and I conveyed the news to the mother and daughter. The woman laughed heartily, desperate for survival yet unable to die. Indeed, that's the best ending for him. I provided them with some money and arranged for them to be escorted back to Liangzhou City. They had suffered enough in their first half of life, I hoped they could find happiness in the future. As for whether the Zhao family would come to cause trouble, it had nothing to do with my Lu family. We weren't even engaged, who knew where he had gone? Finally, I asked Song Yao what he wanted to do. The play was over, everyone should be heading toward their own conclusion. Song Yao, miss, are you trying to send me away? I scratched my head, not really, I just want to know what you want to do. The more I spoke, the quieter I got, and I felt a sourness in my heart that I couldn't explain. Song Yao took my hand and led me to the back mountain. Will miss agree to whatever I want? I pondered, As long as it's not killing or arson, it should be fine, right? Don't worry, I have money. I can fulfill your requests. Song Yao didn't say anything and led me to a pear tree. I was confused, what are we doing? Didn't we finish the wine last time? I've hidden a jar. Song Yao unearthed the last jar of wine, its aroma wafting, making one a little dizzy. He stood under the pear tree and asked me, Miss, if I said I want to be with you for the rest of my life, what would you say? I was stunned, clutching my clothes. The heaviness that had been in my heart for so many days suddenly lifted, of course. Song Yao opened the wine, then Miss should stand in for my future father-in-law and let's not leave until we're drunk. The end.